We have to acknowledge that this chaos is the direct result of wrong-headed, unnecessary, chaotic policies coming from President Trump. These tariffs are a massive distraction, and they remind us why it was such a mistake for the Liberals to make us so dependent on the Americans over the lost Liberal decade. Economic matters. We are all watching the stock market with interest today. We have to acknowledge that this chaos is the direct result of wrong-headed, unnecessary, chaotic policies coming from President Trump. These tariffs are a massive distraction, and they remind us why it was such a mistake for the Liberals to make us so dependent on the Americans over the lost Liberal decade. Now, obviously, Mark Carney will be trotting out his trophy titles and the inflated hype around his false resume claims on this day. But let's be clear, at this time, the last thing we need is to take a risk on the failed ideas of Mark Carney. Mark Carney has been wrong about every major economic issue of our time. He was wrong to support carbon taxes. He was wrong to oppose pipelines. He was wrong 4 years ago when he said the biggest risk to the world was deflation and proposed hundreds of billions of dollars of money printing. He was wrong when he caused the inflation crisis in Great Britain and the housing crisis in that country. He's been universally condemned by the British media, even though back here in Canada, the media covers up his failed record and his terrible reputation in the United Kingdom. We cannot afford a fourth Liberal term of Mark Carney driving up spending, money printing, taxes, and inflation while blocking our resource projects. We cannot afford that risk. We need a new Conservative government for a change that will axe taxes, greenlight construction of homes, mines, pipelines, LNG plants, bring home our jobs so that we can reinforce our economic fortress against the Americans.
Canada is a little late to the party for LNG. We're behind Australia, Qatar, Indonesia, Malaysia, and of course the USA now. Can Canada still compete for more LNG on the West Coast or even on the East Coast?
Thank you, Mark Carney. Thank you, Justin Trudeau. Those two said there was no business case for LNG over the last decade. And as you correctly point out, all the other countries knew better. And in the state during the time when the last lost Liberal decade, where Carney and Trudeau were blocking these projects here, we saw 8 new plants go up in the States. Qatar doubled its production and signed supply agreements with France. We've seen other countries unleash their natural gas potential. I understand now Alaska is looking at exporting LNG. So you're right. That is the lost Liberal decade. But no, we're not too late. There's still going to be massive demand for LNG because it is the cheapest, one of the cheapest and cleanest ways to power an electrical grid without coal. And so if we move now, if we reject a fourth Liberal term and elect a new Conservative government that will rapidly approve major projects like LNG Canada Part 2, LNG Quebec, and others, then we can get our gas to the world. We have huge advantages over the Americans. It takes 11 days to ship to Asia from BC. It takes 20 days to ship from the U.S. Gulf Coast. We have cold weather. It's nice and crisp out here today. That reduces the cost of liquefaction by 25%. Well, how do you liquefy a gas? You cool it down. Well, we've already got a natural cooling system. It's called our climate. And also, we have abundant energy to power that liquefaction. So we have enormous advantages over the Americans, the Qataris, and countless others. We just need to get this Liberal government out of the way and elect a new Conservative government that will get it done for a change. My goal is to bring First Nations, municipalities, and provinces all under the same tent. Let's sit down and put together the checklist of all the things we need to approve, put it in one office, that is accountable to all levels of government, and let the company then apply to the project right there. I'm convinced we can get these projects approved in as little as 6 months. We should be able to. That's what they do in other countries. Let me give you an example. In Germany, they built an LNG import terminal from concept to completion in 178 days. That's not the approval process. That was approval and construction. That's how things happen in the rest of the world. In Canada, we're not even, we're in a parallel universe here where it takes 14, 15 years to go through the bureaucracy. In the rest of the world, things are getting done in months, not years. And that's what we're going to have to do. We need to move at the speed of business to bring our jobs home and become self-reliant, because after the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime and a falling economy under America's thumb, we can't afford a Liberal fourth term. We need a new Conservative government that will green-light projects, axe taxes, and bring our jobs home for a change. We should be selling our resources to the world, breaking dependence on Putin and other foreign dictators, and going around the Americans. Canadian oil and clean natural gas should be displacing coal and reducing emissions worldwide by allowing India and other Asian countries to use our gas instead of dirty coal. But now we export 98% of our energy to the Americans at massive price discounts. That puts us at the tender mercies of Donald Trump and the Americans. I should point out, we are selling natural gas for $4 per British thermal unit to the Americans. It goes for $15 in Europe. So we're selling something for $4 that we could be getting $15 for, but for the fact that we don't have any export terminals that can move the gas overseas. All of them blocked by the Liberals. Only one is nearing completion, and that is LNG Canada here in this region, over in Kitimat, and that was a project approved by the previous Conservative government, and only could have happened with an industrial carbon tax exemption and by approval under the previous pre-C69 rules. Today, with the industrial carbon tax, the Liberal industrial carbon tax, the Liberal energy cap, and the Liberal law C69, that project never would have happened. The Conservative Party is going to reverse the Liberal agenda of blocking and keeping in the ground our resources. Today I'm rolling out the next phase of our Canadian economic plan. I call it one and done. This rule will cut through red tape and get projects done quickly. Build fast, bringing jobs and paychecks home. This is what one and done means. First, we will establish a one-stop shop. One desk called the Rapid Resource Project Office will handle all regulatory approvals across all levels of government, so businesses don't have to waste time navigating through dozens of different agencies at 3 different levels of government. We will do this in partnership with provinces, First Nations, and municipalities, getting them to sign on to merging together their various processes. We will get rid of the double process right now where you have to do the exact same environmental review 3 different times for 3 different levels of government. We'll merge them together, one and done.